Mark Fidrych was an interesting fellow. Enough said. Hello everyone, my name is Fico, and today we're going to be telling the story of the former Detroit Tigers pitcher, Mark the Bird Fidrych. Funny thing about his name, by the way, the reason they called him the Bird is because of his height and resemblance to Big Bird from Sesame Street. This pitcher is like no other, and there's several reasons why. You'll pick up as we go along. Mark was a man of simple beginnings and not so simple rituals. We'll get back into that later. Just to show how good this guy was for the time he played, in only his third appearance at the majors, not only did Fidrych start as the Tigers pitcher, but he also held the Cleveland Indians hitless through 6 innings. I don't care who you are, that's pretty good for a rookie. They finished the game with a 2-1 score. Mark pitched all 9 innings and only gave up 2 hits and walked 1 batter. You want to know what made this game even crazier? Mark, at just 21 years old, had been on the roster since opening day 1976. This game took place on May 15th, 1976. He had just 1 big league inning to his name across being on a team for a month and a half to this point. Then he goes out and completely destroys a team that went on to finish over 500. This began the year of the Bird. I mean, it was technically the year of the Dragon, but, potato potato. On May 31st, Fidrych met our good buddies the Brewers and pitched a complete game victory over them. An 11-inning complete game win for the Bird. Where's your fake pitcher then, huh? Next start was June 5th against the Rangers. He again gets a complete game win in 11 innings, allowing only 2 runs and 1 walk. From that May 15th start against Cleveland all the way to the 20th of July, Fidrych pitched a complete game in all but 1 start. That one was still a 7 1/3 inning start, and he still managed to pick up a win. On July 28th, Fidrych pitched at Tiger Stadium in front of 47,855 people and pulled out a win. As you might have guessed, a complete game win against the Yankees. The Tigers won 5-1 in a game that only lasted an hour and 51 minutes and was wrapped up with a cute little 6'3" bow because the fans just wouldn't leave until Mark came back out of the dugout for a curtain call. It was this moment that launched Mr. Bird into nationwide stardom. His next 2 starts were in front of over 50,000 Tiger fans, and he did not disappoint, giving up 1 run across 2 starts, going all the way in both of them. He actually lost the second one 1-0, but even so, the fans still wouldn't leave until he made his patented curtain call. They just loved this kid in Detroit and everywhere else too. Teams would even ask the Tigers to change their pitching rotation to have Mark pitch on the road against them so they could have the audience bump for everyone who wanted to come out and see the Bird do his thing. The hype was at an all-time high on July 13th, the date of the 1976 MLB All-Star Game in Philadelphia. At a stadium an NFL team once straight up refused to play at, Mark Fidrych, this 21-year-old kid who everyone said looked like Big Bird from Sesame Street, was going to be the starting pitcher in an All-Star Game. But before we talk about that All-Star Game, it's about time you know what Mark Fidrych did that was special. Not just his play on the mound, but his everything else on the mound. Back in that first game when he pitched against Cleveland, one of their hitters said he looked like he was trying to hypnotize him out there. Mark did things that no one else did on the mound. He would do things like talk to the ball during the game and tell it what to do. He actually did have a solid, relatable explanation for the talking though. He said it was his way to keep his head in the game. For example, in this interview he actually gives us some examples of what he might say when he's up on the mound getting ready to throw a pitch.
So now I'm telling myself to come in front, saying, come on, we got to get that ball right in front there, so I'll get that strike.
His philosophy is that when he's talking to himself, what he's doing is basically keeping his focus while also pumping himself up for the next pitch. It was also to help himself make adjustments pitch by pitch, which is something you need to do to be successful at, anything. But not many people took it to the level of the Bird, who kinda just spoke out loud on the mound the same way you'd write in a journal. It worked though. Solid, Mark, solid. Another one of his iconic habits was manicuring the mound during the game with his bare hands.
That boy ain't right.
He'd even shoo away the groundskeepers, insisting that he and he alone should be taking care of the mound while he's pitching. You can imagine his hands would look like a hobbit's foot after the end of every game with how much dirt rubbing he was doing, but nonetheless, it didn't stop him from dominating everyone. This man was a lovable meme through and through. Let's return to the All-Star Game. Facing pretty much just the Cincinnati Reds lineup, he got hit around a bit in his first 2 innings of work, as did most of the poor souls the American League trotted out that day. Was the moment too big for Mark? Was this going to be the beginning of the end for the Bird? Well, no. Fidrych continued to win because he's a freaking winner. Just 3 days after the All-Star game, he won his 10th game victory over the A's in another 11-inning complete game, this one a shutout. After this game, he'd lowered his ERA to 1.6. Woo! Before his next game in Minnesota, his 13th start, the Twins released 13 homing pigeons on the mound, resorting to cheap tactics to throw the bird off now, aren't we? Birdman was quoted saying, "They tried to do this to blow my concentration. Seems it didn't work very well though, because he pulled out yet another complete game victory." His next start would mark his first real blow up in the major leagues. 4 1/3 innings, 9 hits, and 4 runs. Not even the worst part of his night either. You see, Mark said a bad word on national live television. Can't repeat it because demonetization and all that, but it starts with a B, ends with a T, and rhymes with coal fit. He apologized for it immediately after it left his mouth, but he still felt bad about it. The next day, he got a message from the commissioner of baseball saying he would be fined a grand total of $250 for the incident. Mark was crushed until he found out it was a prank by his teammates.
Got him!
Mark easily coasted to a Rookie of the Year award, obviously. He finished second in the Cy Young Award voting to future Hall of Famer Jim Palmer and finished 11th in the AL MVP award.
Whoa.
Remember when he had a 1.6 ERA after July 16th? It probably went up to 2.34 in the last 2 months of the year after getting hit around a little bit, because asking a 21-year-old to go 250 innings is kind of insane. Only one pitcher has currently ever done that in the last decade, and that was fellow Tiger 2011 Justin Verlander. Verlander was 28 that year, was good enough to win the MVP, and is kind of a freak, as you may know. So he was the exception and not the rule based on what we know about pitching today. But those were the times. Just 4 years later, the A's had 3 guys go 250 innings, and none of them were the same afterwards. Starters went deep into games all the time, as you saw from how many complete games he pitched. And now the sad part of the Birdie Bird story begins. It's eerie to think that his closest competition at his peak is Jose Fernandez, as neither one of them had the long and prosperous career everyone in the world hoped they'd have. Just as soon as Mark's career started, it was being taken away. During spring training in 1977, Mark tore the cartilage in his knee just messing around in the outfield. He made it back in time for his first start of the year on May 27th against the Seattle Mariners, but this time, it was a complete game loss. It wasn't all bad. Upon his return, Sports Illustrated welcomed him back to the mound with a career-defining cover for Mark. Hey look, Big Bird again. When he was back, he was effective. His 1977 season included another All-Star Game roster spot and numbers to back that accomplishment up. But on July 4th against Baltimore, Lady Luck seemed to really have it out for him, because during this game, he felt his arm give out. Or, as he said in his own words, he felt his arm just go dead. But you want to know the craziest part? He still made 2 more starts in 1977 even after this. They weren't very good, but he went out there and fought until he physically couldn't anymore. Godspeed, Mark. Not to say that this completely detached him from baseball altogether, as he did do some work as a guest color analyst on Monday Night Baseball for ABC. One time he was on the air and was quoted saying, "Who's Richie Hebner?" Hebner's career started 8 seasons before Mark and ended 5 seasons after, so yeah, that's a yikes. Ouch, Richie. Unbelievably, Mark started opening day for the Tigers next year, but his career was just never the same. That game was one of only 16 more he'd pitch in the major league level across 3 more years, but that didn't take the spirit away from Mark. He retired to his farm, living out the rest of his days with his wife and daughter. He would often find ways to pass his baseball knowledge on to children whenever he could, remaining a chipper, upbeat soul until the very end. Mark died in April of 2009 after an accidental death working on his truck. He was 54 years old. Baseball should never forget Mark Fidrych and the once-in-a-lifetime man he was on the mound. Not just with pitching talent, but everything else that surrounded him. Nobody was a presence on the mound the way Mark was, and those who knew him made sure to honor that. On June 19th, 2009, the Tigers invited Mark's wife and daughter to throw the first pitch in a game against the Brewers, the same team Mark's first 11-inning complete game was against. And when they took the mound, they manicured the mound just the same way he would have. A perfect tribute to an unforgettable man.